Hey guys, welcome tomorrow. My name's Gary Thurman, Guardian Investment Advisors. Hope you guys are doing well today. We are here and excited to be with you. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you are listening to us on the radio, thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys so very much, and hope you enjoy today's show. So in here today, friends Tim McDermott, Bobby Futch. Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Morning, Gary.
Fantastic.
It's a little chilly outside today. Our clock's not working, by the way, so, I don't know. Thank you, Tim. Our clock's not working. It's got me see if Tristan can work on that.
Yeah, you said you took Titan out this morning.
Man, boy. Got up, worked out, then, he's kind of gotten used to. So let me tell you, first of all, Titan's gained 6 pounds.
Oh, boy.
He could probably use it. He's a little scrawny for his height.
He's a big old boy, isn't he? Yeah, I told Rhonda, I said, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that off of him. So I've been dedicated on getting him out every morning if I can. But
see if he'll do that.
yeah, I tried.
They do make dog treadmills, believe it.
They do. They do. And I did. Dad. So he wants to get out. But hey, it is January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're expecting it here in Tennessee. But today's show is going to be a lot of fun, folks, because we've had some great shows over the last several weeks. And what we did here is just kind of shows together, talk about some different things, focusing on 2026, what you should be focusing on. Book plan today on tomorrow. All you have to do is text the word book 423-710-9199. We can send this two ways. We can send it out as is in a physical form, or we can actually send it to you now in a digital form via email or text. So either way, 423-710-9199, text the word book. Guys, I thought we'd have a little fun today. I went through some of my Wall Street journals here over the last few weeks and just pulled out some interesting things. So Walmart's drone deliveries.
Technically that's true.
Retail for aerial delivery at 270 stores nationwide by the end of 2027.
So I know they've been doing this.
It's pretty cool.
I just imagine ordering something from Walmart and a drone drops it off at your front door just in the middle of the backyard, or I don't know what.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're pretty big. I mean, from the picture I'm looking at here, and we love, what do you call it, Walmart delivery, or Rhonda uses that all the time. So this is taking a job away from someone that's doing that, but maybe a job from someone that's controlling the drones. I don't know, Bobby. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's really cool. Amazon started working on this several years ago, and I think it's neat. I don't know how I'm going to feel about seeing those little things zip around the city, though.
It'd be interesting to see how if that gets really popular and a lot of stores do it, how do they know not to run into each other,
Tim, you know what I thought about when I read this? You were at my house, I don't know, year and a half ago, and you brought a drone, and we are in what I call the jetway of the Chattanooga airport,
sure.
And you were limited on the height you could go up.
Yep.
So how's that right here in Chattanooga, and even in Knoxville? I mean, the airport's right there in the middle of everything.
Drones are now regulated by FAA, and at least most of them are, right? Your hobby ones, your little ones aren't, but anything over a certain weight actually is. I think that could produce a higher profit margin for Walmart.
Absolutely.
Sure, that's what they're going for, right? Less manual labor, quicker, more efficient deliveries. Maybe the drones are automated. Who knows?
I still think it's pretty cool. I like it. I got a couple different articles, but I want to throw this one at you because we talk about this with clients all the time, gentlemen. And this article was just on January 12th. Financial in the new year. Learn to align spending, saving, and investment decisions with goals. What are your thoughts here, gentlemen?
Yeah, big one for us this year.
It is a big one, right?
We're we always talk about this, right? January rolls around. Everybody talks about their New Year's resolution. They never stick. Make them stick.
Make them stick, right?
But it's kind of that fresh start for people. So let's redo the budget. Let's talk about the finance. Let's talk about what we're going to save this year. My wife and I are going into it pretty hardcore this year.
Yeah.
And we're making it a point to say, hey, we're not in a bad place, but we could save a little bit more, and we're stop wasting money on the dumb stuff. Our kids don't need the newest sippy cup that comes out or the newest toy off the shelf, right? So let's save the money and let's take them outside and play in the park instead.
I love that.
Yeah, really.
I think the key word is discipline, Bobby.
That's the basis of any financial plan.
Right.
So really, before you can get fancy and talk about securing income and red bucket investing, you really need to know the sources and uses of your income.
Absolutely.
And that's where a budget or a spending plan comes from. You need to know what's coming in and exactly what's going out and where.
And I'll put one more point to that.
Please
In a
do.
spending plan, be realistic. Don't go through and fill
Yeah.
out your budget like you're gonna skimp and eat ramen noodles on Wednesday night. Go
Yeah.
through and be realistic. If you buy steaks every Monday, put down steaks.
That's right.
If you go out to Texas Roadhouse on Wednesdays, put that down.
Yeah.
And at least have a starting point of what you're actually spending.
Yeah.
And then you can trim back from there.
You just reminded me of my grandfather when he was taking me golfing as a young man. You know, he'd say, "Well, son, what'd you have on that hole?" "Oh, I had a 6. "Oh, I'm sorry, I think it was a 10. And he said, "Look, son, you'll never get better unless you're honest with yourself about your score."
That's
I
right.
never
Yeah.
will forget that.
That's
It was
right.
pretty cool. So Steph Gherkin out of New York, she's a financial planner and a financial therapist, by the way. I love what she said here. She said, the why. You got to identify your why. That is, why do you save? Individual whys may vary, she says, but people who are attached to their goals tend to succeed. I think that's pretty cool, Bobby.
Yeah, if you're kind of just dumping your savings in a financial black hole somewhere and not really sure, what you're saving for or why, it's a lot harder to stick to it. But man, if you've got a plan put together and I've got to save, $200 a month, that way I can have X amount in a portfolio to
Yeah.
use when
Yeah.
I'm 65. You really got to know the goal to
Yeah.
stick to it. So.
I refer to the book The Latte Factor. I think it's actually one of the best books, especially for young people, where they basically say, instead of buying that latte, invest that money and watch what it does over time. It's absolutely fascinating to me. The Latte Factor is really, really good.
And lattes have gotten more expensive since that book was.
Yeah, they've went up a lot. So, guys, and I'm going to say this honestly, I don't think retirement is the same as it was 10 years ago. I mean, there's been a lot of changes. Our market has been on a run. Lots of things have changed. But, going into I think there's some uncertainty, Tim, out there. So, some of the things that I think people need to be looking at maybe is some more market volatility.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a higher uptick in volume and volatility over the last 5-10 years, especially. It's not super uncommon for us to see a 1 or 2% swing in a market trade today.
Yeah.
That was wildly, high volume, crazy volatility 10-15 years ago, right? And so we're seeing this volatility happen, and it's, I think, causing a little more uncertainty with the average investor.
Yeah. A little more stress, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Well,
little bit
as you
worried.
get more money into the markets, as you get more investors over time, right?
Sure.
We really saw this first when 401ks came out.
Yeah.
Because they ended up pouring a whole bunch more money in the market that wasn't normally there. And we're seeing a lot more of that now. The more investors you have, the more people you have getting in and out for whatever reason, that's what causes volatility.
And Bobby, do you think about the long-term impacts of inflation?
A lot of people are
They should.
about it, but they don't quite know what it means, right, for their retirement plan. And so it's not going away. Inflation is part of a healthy economy. And so you need to make sure that you plan for a reasonable amount of inflation every year.
I wish inflation was like a steady 3%, right? Or a steady number in and of itself, but it's really not. And I think we were reminded of this a couple years ago, back in 22.
Yeah.
We saw a huge spike in inflation. And inflation doesn't look like 3% each year. Now, it's mapped out like that on
It
a lot
is.
of calculators to be consistent with what you're trying to do. But in reality, inflation could be pretty stagnant for a few years and then give us a nice 8-10%.
And it doesn't mean that everything money on in retirement went up by 3%.
That's right.
Right? It's an average of a whole bunch of different
That's
things.
right.
So healthcare is very often way above 3% every
Sure.
year.
Shoot, yeah, it
And
is.
so you need to think about that.
I'm going to go back. Us three did a webinar the other day with some really, really smart people, and they were predicting this year and next year for inflation to stay at 3% or below. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're saying. It could stay average for a couple years, and maybe we get another spike like we did a few years ago.
It could be below average for a few years.
Might be.
I mean, that's kind of what we saw from 2010 to 2020 almost, is pretty stagflation. We didn't have a lot of inflation.
Yeah.
And then we saw a huge kind of surge all at once, or at least within that year or two, and it's been stagnant ever
We
since.
need to keep a close eye on what's happening at the Federal Reserve. now,
Absolutely.
Too, right? Because that could have
Yeah.
a lot to play with it moving into 2026.
And Bobby, I'm going to here, and I'm going to kind of combine two things. You brought up healthcare costs. They are continuing to rise. I don't see that backing off anytime soon.
No.
And we are living longer now. Longevity risk is a real big deal for us. And the longer we live, the more opportunity we do have to get sick. 70%.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy there, right? We're going to live longer, which means that we're going to be subject to more healthcare inflation.
Sure.
Coach Medicare Tanner Moore, we had something earlier this month for our clients, and he showed us a chart about what Medicare spending is expected to be in the next 10 years.
I know. Wow.
Per person, it's almost going to double.
Wow.
Right? So, yeah, we may have 3% inflation. We may have below normal inflation, but healthcare, it's going to outpace that normal CPI number.
It's funny when Tanner was up there giving those numbers, Rhonda looked at me because we're getting right there 10 years from now where we're going to be forcing those high costs or being into those high costs. So, folks, it's not how you invest your money. It's actually all about planning, and that's what we do here at Guardian Investment Advisors. I'd advise you, come in, see Tim, Bobby, Brogan in our Knoxville office. Have a conversation about your retirement plan. Make sure you're set up the right way. And as always, we're giving out my book absolutely free, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. All you have to do is text 423-710-9199. If you text the word book, 423-710, my copy sent right out, and or we'll send you a digital copy right to your phone or email. 423-710-9199. One of my favorite things, gentlemen, the paychecks just don't stop. Employers stop, and maybe the paychecks. We got to keep the paycheck going. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you. Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, your host, and we are Guardian Investment Advisors. Tennessee and Knoxville, Tennessee. If you're in the Tennessee Valley, we'd love to have a conversation with you. If you'd like a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, text the word book 423-710-9199. Again, text the word book 410-9199. We'll get it sent right out to you. January 12th, so this was just yesterday. The Dow is off to its best start to the year since 2003. That's pretty cool. And when I saw this, it made me think of you because you, at that Lunch and Learn the other day, were talking about several different things that you look for when it comes to, what we think the market's going to do coming up this year. So can you talk about those things, those different phrases that you use?
Yeah, a couple indicators we watch at the beginning of every year. There's some high correlations related to the first 5 days and then the month of January as a whole. The first one's called the first 5-day indicator. And it simply says that if the first 5 days of the year are positive, there's an 83% correlation to say that the year as a whole will be positive. Well, we had a positive first 5 days. They're looking at the S&P 500 usually. That one kind of squeaked by. It wasn't a super high first 5 days, but it was
inside
positive.
the upper rights. It counts.
That's right.
Field goal.
And then the second one being the January barometer, saying that if January as a whole is positive, there's also an 83% correlation to say the market as a whole will be positive for the year. So it's not a crystal ball, but it's a little bit of an indicator to say, hey, we should be or could be looking at a positive year and kind of guide you in that direction for what we're looking at. The third one being the Santa Claus rally. I'm talking about the year previous. And if that Santa Claus rally is positive, as well as a first 5 days and a January barometer all being positive, there's a 90-some% correlation to say that the year as a whole will be positive. So some nice indicators to watch. I will say we saw a negative Santa Claus rally this last year. Positive first 5 days, and we'll be watching the January barometer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because there's a lot of things going on. I mean, look what's going on in Venezuela right now. I mean, there's a lot of things going on around our world that could impact our markets, Bobby. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Venezuela is a big one. You know, the big one that we've talked about for a while, preparing for 2026, is the midterm elections.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and when you have midterm elections in a given year, it generally has a little more volatility in the market.
That's right.
Than in any other years. But what the market doesn't like is that uncertainty. So we may see some increased volatility through the election in November, but if the end of the year should be really strong this year.
Yeah, that'd be
so
good.
we'd keep an eye on that.
Don't you think it's important, gentlemen, though, for people to know that your portfolio is not your paycheck? It's a vehicle you use, the plan you put together. And the biggest things that people just don't quite understand is sequence of return risk. It's such a big deal. Such a big deal. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sequence of returns risk relates back to what kind of return will you see over a certain time period. And so a lot of people go back to 2008 and say, well, if I retired in 2008 and started withdrawing from my portfolio, there's a major difference in retiring and having a negative first 1, 2, 3 years right out of the gate, rather than taking those first 2 or 3 years and putting them on the back end of those returns. Makes a massive difference in the portfolio. And here's the thing, you compare those two, the same returns happened, the same percentage, the same average rate of return happened, but the order of them matters.
Right, big time.
If you retire right into a recessionary year and you're pulling income out of that portfolio on a regular basis, that could have a major impact and say you may not make it through retirement, which is why we use our bucket system.
That's right.
To prevent things like that.
What if you retired in 99?
Yeah.
And we had 3 negative years in a row.
Not only did you have 3 negative years in a row, you had a lost decade, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You start out
in
3 losing years, you're pulling money out of that portfolio, and for 10 years, you average basically a 0% rate of return while drawing on that account. Could have put you in a really tough position, especially by 2010.
My gosh. Yeah. I think, Bobby, the biggest thing here is that I want people to understand that's listening or watching us right now, not all of your money is used for income, because there's a difference between portfolio income and guaranteed income.
Yeah, without a doubt. And really the one that matters is that guaranteed income.
Yeah.
In my opinion, most everybody's going to have Social Security. That's the basic type of guaranteed income.
That's one of your guaranteed income.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's kind of the basis for an income plan in retirement.
Sure.
But I don't know a whole lot of people that want to retire and live on Social Security alone. So your goal in a retirement income plan is, let's make other guaranteed sources of income.
Yeah.
Let's fill. And you take money out of the red bucket, right? The red bucket's where we have that sequence of return risk. And so if it goes in the green bucket providing guaranteed income, you don't have to worry so much about that sequence of return, because you know the paycheck's going to keep coming. To Tim's point, you can go to Texas Roadhouse on every Wednesday because you know
that honey butter's delicious.
You know next month. And you're able to kind of sleep better at night, not worrying so much about the money in the market. You can be a little more aggressive with it. Keep up with the inflation we talked about. Keep up with healthcare costs. Keep up with taxes. And that's why the bucket system's so beautiful.
And I love our strategy. And guys, I know we talk about our bucket system all the time, but we never know who's listening on the other side. So I know we reemphasize this a whole lot, Tim, but using our bucket strategy, there's one thing that it can really allow you to do right now while taxes are on sale. It can help you do Roth conversions. I just think it's so big for people to understand that taxes are on sale big time right now.
Taxes are on sale. We're in the 3rd lowest tax bracket we've seen in U.S. history. And so it's nice to see some lower tax brackets, even if it doesn't feel that way right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll show you some opportunities and some ways to potentially do some Roth conversions. What Gary's referencing to, a lot of times these green bucket programs are offering big bonuses to get into these programs.
Cash.
Yeah, and so that you can use that bonus to go pay the tax and essentially do it in a tax advantaged way.
Use
Right?
the insurance company's money to pay your taxes.
That's right. Yeah, and then put yourself in a place where not only are you in a tax-free position now, it grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free later on.
Yeah, but Bobby, a lot of people think, okay, this green bucket of money, it's going to give me income. Maybe we can do some Roth conversions. You're giving me cash bonuses, but I'm not going to see any growth in this product, in this program, in this green bucket. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's not necessarily true
That's right.
anymore. There's a lot of really good fixed indexed annuities rather out on the market. They can provide reasonable rates of return. And so this is something that you should plan for ahead of time, because the earlier you start planning for that guaranteed income, the less it's going to cost you to produce that income. And so there is growth in these products. And some of them, even if you don't need a guaranteed income, if you just want a safer investment, you can have accumulation annuities that provide, market-like returns sometimes in these things with the guarantee that you won't lose any money.
Yeah, I think I told you guys the other day, I got a client. I've had him for 2 years. He's inside of a fixed index annuity, and we have been really selective on the indexing we've used. He's averaged over 9% the last 2 years.
That's awesome.
9%. I mean, he is stoked about that. And Tim, I just brings me to another point. If we go back, S&P 500 actually started. Average is what?
About 8.5%, 10.5%, depending on if you reinvest dividends or not.
So if there's a possibility that you can get 7-8% on average return in a safe product without market volatility, why would you not do it?
Yeah.
Why would you not want to use the green bucket of money?
Yeah. So the one drawback to the green bucket, right, is liquidity.
Yeah.
And so you can't reach in, pull it all out, and just run away with it all at once. Although most people aren't going to do that anyways, because you're talking about potentially IRAs, and if you pull all that money out, you're going to owe taxes on all that money. And so liquidity needs to be a factor and needs to be considered. A, you're not putting everything you have into the green bucket, and B, you're probably not going to pull out several $100,000 all at once, go pay the taxes on it, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing Roth conversions, and in that case, you can do those inside of those annuity programs.
Crazy, isn't it?
And so it gives you some different options inside of there. We're calling this the bond alternative.
Yeah.
World. I don't. If you kept up with economic factors in the last 5 years, bonds have shifted. Not only are we seeing super low yields, we really can't make much on bonds. You're potentially seeing some drawbacks on your bond values because of interest rate hikes.
That's right.
That we saw at the beginning of the 2020s. But
so Tim just said, Bob, we got about a minute here. Tim just said something about the liquidity issue, if you want to call it, inside of this green bucket of money. That's why you don't put all of your money in the green bucket of money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And listen, most allow you to take out 10% a year.
Per year, yeah.
Right after the first year, you can go get 10% without any penalties. Who's withdrawing 10% of their year anyway?
They shouldn't be,
right?
But,
so you need to plan for it, right? It is a thing, but often it's really an overblown concern, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just needs to fit the plan, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's where the bucket strategy really comes into place.
Right.
And something else, if you're listening out there today and you have an annuity that you've had 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, I would really, really encourage you to come in and have a conversation, because we might have an opportunity to refinance that annuity, get you in a better situation. When we come back, we're kind of running out of time. I'm going to tell you about a story, Tim, of a lady I just talked to yesterday in Cary, North Carolina.
All right.
Yeah, you're there,
Old
Cary, North
stomping
Carolina.
grounds.
I'm going to talk about a product that she's had for 7 years. It's coming up. She's now out of the contract. And I just want to explain the difference in the rates and how the newer fixed index annuities have changed so much in the last few years. So if you're out there and you're listening today, you're like, hey, I need to have a conversation with these guys. Give us a call, 423-710-9199. Tim and Bobby are here in our Chattanooga office. Brogan is in our Knoxville office. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And as always, we're offering my book, Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow, absolutely free. Text the word book, 423-710-9199. Again, text the word book, 423-710-9199. About some killers in retirement, care, and risk. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's powering your retirement right now. Thank you. Welcome back to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman. We are Guardian Investment Advisors, and here with my buddies today, Bobby Futch, soon to be daddy again.
Number 2.
That's right, brother. Tim McDermott, he's already a daddy times 2.
Yeah. That's it. No muss.
Did you guys know Brogan was the one of 10 children?
I did. He told me that at the Christmas
didn't know
party,
that.
actually.
That checks out.
About his story, you know, I'm like, well, buddy,
Yeah,
they had
right.
10 kids, right?
If he doesn't slow down, he's going to have 10 kids
Oh my
soon.
gosh, bro, guy! If you guys are in the Knoxville area, I'd love. He might be one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and he's absolutely brilliant when it comes to financial planning. So, up, we always offer my book 423-710-9199. All you have to do is text the word book to that number 423-710-9199. Physical, gentlemen. Some annuities in our second segment there, and I wanted to tell you a story about a lady I had a conversation with over in Cary, North Carolina yesterday. So she's with one of my, and she's been in your program. As of, I think, today or the next day, it's coming out of what we call the surrender charge period, right? And so I just had her pull her statement as we were on the phone and said, let's look at a couple of different things. First of all, what's your fixed rate? So it took her a minute to figure out where we're looking at. So this product and her fixed. Yeah. Okay. I said, what's the S&P 500 cap on a yearly basis? So once I showed her how to do that, her cap on her S&P 500 was 4.5.
For you guys that are listening out there, a cap means that's the most.
That's the most you can make. So I said, probably going to take a good, because if I'm comparing to another 7-year program, just apples to apples for her, we've got a fixed rate right now of 4.5, pretty darn strong, and a cap rate on the S&P 500 9.25%. So changed. Insurance companies are smart. They're more integrated. They're using technology. They're using different indexing strategies to help you guys make some money while you're still safe, while you're still out of the market volatility. You can still make some good returns. So again, if you have an annuity out there, 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, come in and see Tim, Bobby. If you're in Knoxville, go in and see Brogan. Let's talk about refinancing that annuity. Can probably get you in a better position. We talk things, guys. Most retirement come from bad investments. They basically come from blind spots, or that I talk about in my book. And Tim, taxes are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And so many taxes in retirement planning.
Yeah, although it would be nice to have taxes stop.
Yeah. Or stay the same.
Yeah.
Right?
They probably will not. And so tax planning has been one of the biggest things that we've been planning for over the last few years.
Yeah.
We've had several conversations. Almost everyone that comes in, it's a conversation about how do we reduce or control that taxable burden down the road. And a lot of that's been coming back to Roth conversions because taxes are in low brackets right now.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody on the telephone the other day, and he referenced the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, right? It was passed,
Sure.
July 4th of last year, that made the current tax brackets permanent.
Till they're not.
True, right? There's no there has
right.
been in the
Right.
past, but all it takes is Congress to go in there and change that, and all of a sudden it's not permanent anymore.
That's right.
So I don't want people to look at that and go, well, Congress promised they're never going to change. Well, they promised they're never going to change until they have to change them.
So if a new administration comes in 2028.
It's exactly right. And that's kind of what I'm telling people now is if, At 2028, the White House changes. We have midterm elections this year. One or two houses of Congress can switch. Listen, I like low taxes, but I also realize the United States has a lot they got to pay for.
Sure.
Right? And they're using the big old United States credit card every year to the tune of $2 trillion.
Yeah.
I just don't see them being permanent. They can't be, right?
Government, Bobby.
That's right.
And what is that?
That's taxes.
Taxes, right? So if you're someone younger out there right now, come in and have a conversation with these guys. But if you're someone retiree, might up in some IRAs, it might be time to come in, have a conversation with these guys, and spread out some taxes now. Spend some money now while the taxes are low. Pay the taxes on the seeds versus that harvest that Bobby's talking about. But like, you're talking to a client, you're like, look, we're going to pay for the next 3 years, we're going to put out $100,000 and pay our taxes on it.
Yeah.
Makes your stomach hurt a little bit, but don't you have some software that really shows them the great impact if they do that?
It seems counterintuitive for you to come in, talk about tax planning, and we're going to talk you into paying more taxes for the next. But when you look at how it affects your plan over the next 10, 20, 30 years, and that's what our software does, is shows you the real effect on your plan over the next 10, 20, 30 years, you'll understand that if you could pay half of that in taxes and put yourself in a tax-free position, you may be more apt to want to jump up and pay that tax bill,
especially with the
few years.
longevity we're seeing in
That's
a lot
right,
of folks
yeah.
now, right? If you're going to, retire and live for 35, 40 more years, I promise you're going to be paying more in taxes in that time frame. Yeah. And listen, it's going to hurt now when you got to get out the checkbook and write Uncle Sam a bigger check. But we can show you exactly what that'll mean for you moving forward.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we can get you in a tax-free situation in retirement.
Do we have Sammy the Duck floating around here? No,
Sammy's in Phoenix right now.
Oh, he's off on assignment.
He's
Okay.
also on assignment. Yeah, he's out. He was doing TV with Joe Wilson yesterday. Actually,
Our
he really
ultimate-
was.
Our ultimate goal is to get Sammy the Duck out of your pocket.
That's right.
Didn't have to
Yeah,
kick him
yeah,
out,
I know.
but
Another one on the way. So his brother's coming. I
There
guess
you
we got to get a different name for the brother. So, but Bobby, talking about all this stuff with taxes, we talked about healthcare. I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to planning for healthcare and retirement, because we know Fidelity did a report. An individual 65-year-old is expected to pay over $170,000 each for general healthcare. We're not talking about long-term care. Yeah. I'm talking about prescriptions, copays.
And that's if you're on Medicare, right?
That's right.
You've got insurance.
Yes, you have insurance.
And so you really need to think about that. And as inflation takes hold, that number's probably going to go up. And as we're living longer, you're going to have more time to spend money. Those are all great things.
Yeah.
What living longer is, I wouldn't say the inflation is. But it's in retirement, and that goes back to the spending plan we talked about in the very first segment, is that has to be a line item on your retirement spending plan.
And I love when you guys, we call it our income lab. I love when you guys use that. You put every single thing in there. You're going to be paying this. Here's the money that is coming in. Here's the money going out. Here's how we can make that situation look better. And I think it gives our clients a really good visual.
Yeah, it's a tool plan and say, what is that really going to look like 10,
right.
20, 30 years from now?
That's so
really
cool.
important.
So here, Tim, and I love this one because I've heard it for 3 decades. Once I retire, my tax rate will automatically go down.
Yeah. If you retired in 2017, that was true. If you didn't, probably not. It's interesting how that was always the case, right? And you were probably told this for years while you started working. And I'd say if you started working back in the 70s, 80s, that probably was true for you. I would say it may no longer be true, right? We're seeing lower tax rates now than we did back then.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, let's take advantage of it, right?
Absolutely.
But it's not always the case.
That's right.
And you've got a lot of pre-tax 401k or IRA money.
That's right.
RMDs are going to start at some point, and you're going to be forced into taking a bunch of ordinary income all over again.
Uncle Sam wants his money.
We'll probably force you into higher tax brackets at some point in the future, and that's why we're doing a lot of the planning that we're doing right now.
And if taxes go up on top of that, I mean, there's a different other things to look at. Bobby, this is a passionate one for me because I think long-term care, people don't understand. Maybe they do understand it, but the cost of long-term care and the opportunity all of us have to get long-term care now is 70%. 7 out of 10 of us are going to need some type of long-term care. Risk. A lot of people think Medicare is going to cover their long-term care costs.
Yeah, that's just not true. Medicare will cover it in a very limited circumstance, and that's after you've been in the hospital and you need some sort of rehab to get better, they'll cover up to 100 days.
Do you know that you have to be transported from that hospital to that facility?
Directly?
You cannot go home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can't step even to get clothes. So that's a very limited window. And so I would say no.
Yeah.
Just Medicare does not cover long-term care because it's not the way you're thinking about long-term care right now.
Yeah, and I would encourage you out there, if you're 63, 64, about to step into Medicare age at 65, even if you're already on Medicare, I'd encourage you to come in and see Tanner Moore. Have a conversation. He doesn't charge you a penny for it. It's an open conversation, absolutely complimentary to you. Make sure you're on the right Medicare plan because you do want to make sure it covers your lifestyle, your medications. I think a lot of people look across, medications, it's going to stay the same price.
Yeah.
I'm paying the generic. Not the case. I just, gentlemen, just went from a copay of $20 to $120 over a 30-day period. So I questioned the pharmacist. He went, "Sorry, bud, this is it."
Wow.
So I'm spending $100 more per month now for a medication than I was just last year. So you got to think about all the different expenses when you're heading into retirement. You got to have an income plan. You got to have a health care plan. You got to have a tax plan. You got to have a legacy plan. All these different things tie into your retirement planning. That's why these guys are so good. And to come in and have a conversation with them, it's absolutely complimentary. We just going to have a conversation. If we shake hands and it works out, great. If we don't, we're going to part as friends. So it's a second opinion. It's absolutely free. You can give us a call at 423-710-9199. Schedule that complimentary review as soon as you can, Chattanooga and in Knoxville, Tennessee. And as always, if you'd like a copy of my book, Plan Today on Tomorrow, text the word book to 423-710-9199. Again, text the word book, 423-710-9199. My wife will send you out a physical copy if that's what you prefer, and we can also send you a digital copy via text and our email. So lots of different things when we get in there, guys. And when we come back, we're going to talk about lifestyle, legacy, peace of mind, what it's really about. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to Plan Today on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman. We are Guardian Investment Advisors, and here with my good friends Tim McDermott, Bobby Futch. We've had a good show today, guys. I mean, if we kind of recap, we've talked about a lot of different things. We talked about some market volatility, inflation, rising healthcare costs, living longer. We hit on some things about your portfolio is not your paycheck, guaranteed income. We, of course, talked about taxes, healthcare, and some risk around all those different things and how much it costs. And lifestyle is a big, big thing. I mean, what are you guys seeing right now? Just a random question for you. Is there a certain lifestyle that you're seeing the majority of clients want to live, or is it all over the place? Everybody's so different.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place a little bit. Here recently, we've had a lot of people that want to travel in retirement,
especially in RVs.
Yeah, but I think it's cool because they're not wanting to get on Delta jets out of Atlanta and fly overseas. Although that's cool if you really want to do that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that just kind of want to. I don't want to say bum around the United States, but that's kind of what it feels like. Just kind of move at their own pace in an RV or.
They don't want to be rushed. They want to be in their own kind of comfortable space, but they want to see see the country.
country.
And hey,
Right.
I'm here for it. That's
Yeah.
kind of right up my alley.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Is there anything else you guys are seeing out there with Tim? I mean, any other lifestyle changes?
I mean, we've seen a little bit of everything, right?
Right.
That's the one that kind of pops to mind. Is we just had a fair number of clients who kind of want to be in that space, want to be in that world. But we do have, a few that like going down to the beach. They've got beach houses.
Yeah,
We have a few that do like to get on a plane and run around. We have a few that don't want to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, they just hang out on the back porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to
And
help.
they stay
raise their
real busy in
grandkids.
town.
Yeah.
Right? We've got some that are busier volunteering in retirement
Yeah.
than they ever were when
Yeah,
they worked.
and I think that's great for it. You
I
know,
will say one that I thought I've seen a lot. We've got a lot of clients and prospects that have very what I'll call modest budgets in retirement,
Mhm.
and then every 2, 3, 4 years, they budget for a year and just blow it out and take their whole family on vacation.
Sure,
I
we've
thought that was
seen
pretty
that.
cool. We talked about somebody that's taken, what do you say, like 13 family members on
Yeah,
an
on a
Alaskan
cruise,
cruise
yeah.
this year,
yeah.
and literally it's going to cost his entire annual budget to go do that, but he's playing for it, and it's going to be awesome. I
He's
wish I could go
excited.
with him.
So, Bobby, you may be just thinking about two different things. First of all, the go-go years.
Mhm.
You know, as you're younger, physically, mentally, are you guys seeing a trend where people, let's say they're between 65 and 72, 73, they want a little bit more money coming in so they can do those types of things? Have you seen a trend and stuff like that?
Yeah, to that point, we're seeing some things where they want to go, and his words specifically were, I shouldn't say specifically. In other words, he had said, "Hey, look, I could leave it to him as an inheritance, or I could go enjoy it with them."
I love
right?
that.
And we
Good for
are seeing.
him.
I will say that's a trend we're
Good
starting
for
to see a
him.
lot of. Clients are looking to give money away while they're alive, or
Seen a lot of that.
do experiences with their kids, or
Yeah.
buy their kids cars when they need them, whatever the case may be. They're looking to spend it now and not necessarily leave a bunch when they're dead.
Right.
Mhm.
And Bobby, something else, it just, you made me think of this. So many people think that they do not have enough money to come in here and work with you guys. So many people think they got to have $1 million+ to come in here and work with us and take their family to Alaska or whatever the case may be. Isn't that not insane?
It is crazy. In a previous life, I worked with a firm that was like that, right? Had to have $1 million plus. Once you get to have so much money, the financial planning actually tends to be easier, right?
Yeah.
So the people that need to really concentrate on this are the ones that aren't what I'll call quote unquote wealthy, whatever that means, right? If you're going to retire with $250,000, great. That's completely doable. You just need to have a plan, just like a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So I don't think
Yeah.
there's any reason why you shouldn't have a conversation with us. Even if you're 25 years old and starting your first job, hey, that's the best time to start financial planning.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
and
And you
we-
can give some good advice
We can
to
give
that
good
person.
advice to a 25-year-old just like we can a 75-year-old.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that we're open like that. I think that's really cool. I think it makes us a little bit different. Some discussion points I want to hear here, Tim, and this is something I talk about big time in my new book, Retire Strong, which month is I talk about couples planning together. I think that's so important. You're talking about you and Joelle, how you've really focused on, what you're spending in 2026. So you're a couple working together. I think that ties into retirement planning and goals and lifestyle too. What do you say?
Yeah, I think you need to be on the same page, right?
good.
And more common than not, you'll see a couple, and one of them has the passion or the
Yeah.
drive to
Yeah.
want to handle this kind of stuff. The other one doesn't want to deal with it. They don't want to think about it. They just want to live their life, right? And that's very common. I'm okay with that, right? But I would like to see you both at least one or two of our meetings so that you understand what's going on and you know who to come to if something happens to your spouse. Right?
Yeah.
We had a great meeting earlier this week with a couple like that, and I love that they're always both there. It's very obvious that one of them is interested in this, and
I think she propped open a book and started reading.
She
while we were
did.
talking.
Wow.
she did
Bother
here.
She's still
She's-
listening.
And if a question came up, she was there to ask the question,
That's right.
right? So it's really important. I just got a crack out of
It is.
that.
It is fun.
I hope she enjoyed her book.
So, Bobby, in chapter 5 of my book, I titled it "What Every Woman Needs to Know: The Facts About Women in Retirement, Losing a Spouse, the Realities of Long-Term Care." And again, we're offering this book absolutely free. 423-710-9199. Sorry, text the word book. 423-710-9199. Women tend to be the caregivers.
Mhm.
They raise the children, maybe the workforce. and then mom and dad. You know, so women, some women, I'm not saying all women out there, but a lot of women are in a disadvantaged place because they are the caregiver.
Yeah, they tend to get the short end of the stick sometimes, and it's really unfair. But your point, if you're caring for kids while they're young, you may go back to work for a few years, and then to your point, you got to care for parents. What that really does is can really hurt your Social Security earnings report. And so it's not uncommon that we see one spouse has a Social Security benefit that's far greater than the other.
Yeah.
And that can really that gives us an opportunity. I won't say it's a problem, right? But it's an opportunity to plan for that.
Sure.
And we often go out and say, listen, take Social Security as early as you can. And for most people, that makes sense. But this is one reason why you need to make sure you're optimizing Social Security.
That's right.
Because that's one of your biggest assets in retirement. And you need to make sure, us men tend to pass away first, right? Leaving our wives behind. You need to make sure that Social Security is optimized for her. And oh, by the way, we spent a lot of time talking about taxes on this show.
Yeah.
Once you go from married filing jointly tax bracket to a single tax bracket, and they absolutely get hammered through no fault of their own.
I mean,
it's a huge, huge change.
Nothing they can do about it.
And so that's something that, it was important enough for you to write a whole chapter in your book.
Yeah.
And it's something we talk about often because very rarely do both spouses pass away at the same time.
There's one thing you can do about it. You could get remarried.
You can get remarried. and maybe that happens.
Yeah. If you, she puts up with me enough. I don't know that she'd get remarried. She's like, I already had one. That was good.
I'll pay the tax.
Bobby's wore me out. Bobby, what do you think is something I like talking to clients about is what is your purpose?
Yeah.
What is your purpose? Why do you want to retire? What is your why? That's a big conversation.
It's a question we have with almost everybody we talk to because, there's the financial side of retirement, then there's the emotional side of retirement. And you really need to have both of those taken care of. You need to know kind of what the next stage in your life is going to be. Because people are living longer now, you're going to have decades, I hope, in retirement, with one or two of them certainly where you're healthy enough to do kind of whatever you want to do.
Right.
You need to find purpose.
Yeah.
And that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
It may be helping raise the grandkids. It may be, part-time job. It may be volunteering, but you have to have a plan.
That why is important. I jumped on a call with a gentleman the other day that heard about us, and he was like, I just want to know about this investment thing. Does it make sense for me? And I'm like, I can tell you about the investment. I have no idea if it makes sense for you because I don't understand everything else that's going on with your plan.
Right.
And after I kind of said that to him, he was like, okay, here's what I got going on. And then I was able to kind of make sense of it. And that investment didn't make sense for him, right? And so we shifted, and I said, we should probably look at doing something like this because of this and this. It will affect your tax scenario.
Nice. So, I mean, you gave this guy great advice, but you got to know his situation.
That's right.
His lifestyle, his purpose. And Tim, I'm going to go really quick here. We talked about couples planning together. I think this is something that's important to me personally, is leaving clarity for Rhonda instead of chaos. Like, if I pass away, she's especially emotionally. But now, we own a business together. We do this. We do this. We have money here. We have money there. Whatever the case may be. We have a home together. I don't want to leave her in a chaotic situation.
No. Yeah, and that's a tough place to be in. Somehow or another, Gary, I think after you go, it'll be a little less chaotic for her. But
probably correct. And she's got. So, I mean, she's probably. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, we had a lady come in this year, and her husband passed late in 2024. I say this year, it was really last year in 25. And her husband had passed, and it took her 3 to 4 months to organize everything and figure out what they actually had. It's not that he didn't keep everything. It's that he did. Had old policies and old statements, and she had to figure out what was relevant, what was actually real, and they still had. It took her forever to organize this. Unfortunately, she came to me after she had done all that, and so we didn't get the chance to kind of help her with that.
Yeah.
But she came in organized after she had figured it out, and so having a clear understanding of what's there and how it's set up is good for them.
Well, that's part about meeting jointly, right? Even if you don't want to help make decisions and all that, just kind of show up and know basically what's going on.
That's
God forbid something happens.
It's all about planning. Mm-hmm. As a single or a couple, if you plan today, you can actually own tomorrow. That's the whole goal, is planning today so you can own tomorrow. Have a great retirement. Hey, folks, if you'd like a copy of my book, text the word book, 423-710-9199. If you want to come in and see the guys, call us 423-710-9199. It's absolutely complimentary. We got Tim and Bobby here in Chattanooga. We got Brogan Walters up in Knoxville. We would love to see you. Show you why Guardian's different. Show you why we help you retire so you can live every single day like a Saturday. Give us a call or reach out for the book, 423-710-9199. Hey, God bless. Take care. We'll see you next week on Plan Today on Tomorrow.